Hello, this is Andrew Harding with the second installment of Operation Birthday Suit. Jimmy is attempting to take Lucy's virginity. He has formulated a plan, and now he is attempting to execute the plan. So if you want to find out whether Jimmy succeeds, then you better pay attention. The following day, I happened to be in school for cricket practice, and as I was leaving, I spotted Mrs. Rawlings going to her car and ran after her. I caught up with her just as she was fumbling for her keys. "Mrs. Rawlings, may I speak to you, please?" "Of course, Jimmy. What is it? Look, I'm going home, so if you like, just jump in and we can give Lucy a surprise, can't we? We can talk in the car, and I can make you both some tea when we get back. She's at her violin lesson. How's that for an idea?" This was a promising start. I thanked her enthusiastically and got into the passenger seat. "Is it about Romeo and Juliet, Jimmy? It's the set text everybody seems to be asking me about." "Well, yes, in a way," I began awkwardly. "In what way, Jimmy?" "Well, my question is actually about two teenagers who really like each other." "I see. You mean you and Lucy, not Romeo and Juliet." "Yes, exactly. You see, Mrs. Rawlings," I had got myself into a spot now, and there was no way of reversing out of it. "Yes, Jimmy, don't worry. You can talk to me. I'm quite aware Lucy is not the easiest to deal with." "Well, it's not exactly that. You see, the problem is that I want Lucy and me to have sex." "Oh, I see. And Lucy, you suppose, doesn't?" She looked amused. "Yes, that's just it, Mrs. Rawlings. You see, I thought that if you said we had your permission, then Lucy might sort of come round to my way of thinking." "Well, she might, Jimmy, but look, I admire you for asking me this question. Most boys would not think of asking a girl's mother. Actually, I can't imagine any of them doing that. And in fact, Lucy has already asked me the same question herself. I have explained to her what would be involved, and I must say I'm not completely sure it's a good idea. But if now she is acquainted with all the gen, she decides she wants to go on the pill and have sex with you, I'm not going to say no. I think you are both sufficiently grown up and responsible to make an informed and mature decision." As she said this, she parked the car in a drive, and I got out, hauling my bag, along with my head, which I felt as if I had left behind, such was the tailspin I was in at the implications of what I'd just heard. So, Lucy Rawlings, a supposed goody two-shoes, was in fact, it turned out, a devious little wench. She had been scouting the possibilities for depriving me of my virginity while presenting to me the demeanour of a nun. But I still had an advantage over her. I knew she was plotting, but she didn't know I was. I decided Lucy should know as little as possible. Therein lay the chances of success for Operation Birthday Suit. "Mrs. Rawlings, could I please ask you not to say anything to Lucy about our conversation?" She unlocked the front door and waved me inside. "Of course, Jimmy, it will be completely entre nous and entirely confidential, all right?" "Thanks a lot. It's just that she might think it's too pushy of me to ask you directly." "Yes, I understand perfectly. She might well see it in that light if I know Lucy." I sat in the living room as Mrs. Rawlings made tea. Another thought now occurred to me. What if Lucy's informed and mature decision was not to go ahead? After all, it might seem like a big undertaking to go on the pill at 16, especially for a goody two-shoes like Lucy. I concluded, just as Lucy herself arrived at the front door and I let her in, that in the end, if she did think better of having sex, then there was not much I could do about it. "Hey, Jimmy, I didn't know you were coming. Your mum's idea. She kindly offered to make us some tea. I had a question about Romeo and Juliet." "Why don't you two go for a walk? If you come back in about half an hour, your tea will be ready. I'm sure you have lots to discuss." Lucy did not notice her mother winking at me. "Good idea, Mum. Come, Jimmy, let's go for a walk on the common." This was my chance to envelop Lucy further in my spider's web of deception and to snare her virginity on her 16th birthday. Operation Birthday Suit was having to change direction slightly, but as far as I was concerned, it was still very much on. As we walked along in the late afternoon sunshine, hand in hand, I told Lucy that I had thought further about our relationship and had realized that she was right to be cautious about our having sex at our age. After all, I said, we were probably not mature and responsible enough to make a good decision about it, and maybe we should just leave it for now. I was challenging her to contradict me. I'm very glad you now see things in the same way as me, Jimmy, she replied, smiling sweetly. I agree completely. Damn. It was shocking to discover that Lucy was every bit as dissembling as I was. Had I taken on somebody cleverer than me? I was going to have to raise my game. Or did she mean what she said, literally?